Hey guys, John Hurley here. I decided to do my speech on one of the most heated and debated topics in the political realm of American society today, and that is on capital punishment and whether it is immoral and should be illegal. And I want to give you just a couple of perspectives on why I believe that capital punishment should be illegal and it is moral. Two of those reasons will be non-biblical, and the last reason will be my biblical basis of why I believe capital punishment should be legal and is immoral. The first point why I believe that capital punishment should be illegal is because of the factor of deterrence. Deterrence is not only scares the criminal, but also the rest of society from performing acts of crime. If you think about it, the reason you haven't committed a crime is because you were afraid of the consequences, you're afraid of being punished, and you're afraid of spending time in prison. And that's one of the main reasons why those in America that haven't committed a crime haven't committed the crime. The penitentiary is not only to protect the society, but also to warn them. David Bender says American prisons opposing viewpoints. Therefore, there is evidence that the fear of being caught in prison does have a generalized deterrent effect on the population. And sadly today, I think that deterrence effect is going downhill because we've made prison this nice, comfy place where you get meals, you have weights to lift, you have basketball courts, you can get an education and all these things. And prison isn't harsh and it's not scaring people like it used to. As you can tell in this graph that I have here, that the incarcerated Americans from 19 to 2006 has gone from about 100,000 to about 2.4 million people being imprisoned every single year. Why is that? Because back in 1920, prison was no joke. You were chained, you were on the chain gang, you were working and things like that. And prison was a place where people didn't want to go. Now in America, it's alright. As somebody being locked up in jail before, everybody that I was locked up with honestly was related to each other. They were cousins, and I was only in there for almost a year. And I kept seeing the same people come in and come out. They would get released, or they would get bailed out, and they would just end up, and it was just a cycle because these criminals, they just don't care anymore. You know, they'll serve their time, whatever, they get out, they can do whatever they want, and they just go right back to doing crime because it's not a hard place to be. The fear of incarceration only exists if someone believes that they are going to be sent to a place of punishment. It can be clearly seen in Deuteronomy 17:12-13, where God says, "You must purge the evil from Israel, and then all the people will here be afraid and no longer behave ignorantly." Like I said, prison has become a nice, comfy place, and we have to put that fear back into people. That prison's not a good place, and that it is because you've broken society's moral laws that you are being punished. The second reason why I believe that capital punishment is moral and should be illegal is the fact of retribution. The United States were established in hoping of building a country where men live by a certain moral conduct and were held accountable to this moral conduct. And if America considers to be held accountable to these established laws that are based on this moral conduct, there must be punishment for those who act in the opposition of those laws. Criminals have broken the laws that we have set in America, and because of that, they need to be punished. There must be retribution for breaking the law, and if there's not, then everybody can get away with what they want, and that's not the American society that our country was founded on. And let's say punishment has come a long way from the Roman cross and the Islamic practice of flogging and amputation. But how did these compare to the American prison system? Or these medieval techniques of the Roman cross and the Islamic flogging and amputation, they struck fear in people. and people knew that if they got caught doing something illegal, there's going to be a price to pay. And like I've talked about earlier, criminals now know that they're going to go in, they're going to do the minimum sentence, and they're going to be nice and comfy, and it's going to be no big deal. They get 3 meals a day, they get a place to sleep, they have a TV to watch, they have weights to lift, and there's no fear of being caught because the punishment is not befitting of the crime anymore. Take for example, if you've been watching the news, the guy in Norway, Breivik, who killed 76 people in Oslo. Now, under Norway law, he will serve only 21 years in prison, and then he will be freed for the rest of his life. Now, this is a man that admitted to killing in cold blood 76 people, and yet after 21 years, he gets to walk away. Where is the justice in that? Where is the retribution, not only to the law, but also to the families of those people that he killed? He killed teenagers and kids and brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers, and there's no retribution being made to those family members. There's no justice in that whatsoever. And there must be retribution for people breaking the law, and that's why I believe capital punishment. If you kill a man, you must pay the price, because you killed a man, and you have a free will, and you chose in that free will to kill that man, and knowing that it was illegal, knowing that it was against the law, so there must be a price to pay. And the third point I want to look at is it biblical. In Genesis 9:6, it says, "Whoever sheds the blood of man, the man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image." So a lot of biblical scholars, even in the Christian realm, will say, well, no, the practice of capital punishment came under the Mosaic law. What we see here, right here in Genesis 9, is right after the flood, that right before the flood, that God says, listen, it's not Mosaic law. He says, listen, if you kill a man, you're going to have to pay the price, and you're going to have to be killed. If you shed another man's blood, your blood will be shed, because God, I made you in my image, and people were precious to me. And when you take that preciousness and that life for granted, you will pay the price. And also, you get a lot of people in the Christian realm saying, well, Jesus came along and he preached turn the other cheek, and compassion and mercy. And yes, that is very, very true. Jesus did teach turn the other cheek and compassion, but that was in a social relationship between two people that were in a relationship and knew each other, and had to work and live with each other. But we also see in the Bible, if you believe in the Bible, that Jesus is going to come back, and he is going to rain judgment down on the earth. And his wrath is going to come down strong. And even Romans 13:4 says, "For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. He is the servant of God, the avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer." Now Romans 13 is talking about that we should come in subjections to all authority, because God has put them in place. Even Obama, who is not very biblical, who is not a godly man, God put him in position, and we have to come under his authority. And basically he's saying, listen, he doesn't bear the sword for anything. There's laws, and God enacts judgments and his wrath, even through the law. And Romans 13 is post-Jesus, post-Mosaic law, everything that you can argue against it. And it's saying, listen, capital punishment is there for a reason. It's God's wrath on the wrongdoer, and that people who sin and are evil must pay a price. Now, unfortunately, America is a world leader in jails and prisoners, as you can see by this chart. And also, you can saw by that chart that Japan is the lowest in the world with prisoners. And why is that? Well, because they believe in capital punishment. Instead of waiting 14 years like you do in America, you're punished within 5 to 7 years. Yes, you have the whole repeal like you do in America, but you're punished. And not only just